Hey guys, what's up? My name is Gareth from Simple Studios, the only game studio dedicated to your success, and in this episode we've got some super awesome stuff we're going to cover, but before we get into that, I'm going to tell you about last episode, because last episode we made some really awesome weapons of mass destruction, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think you'll really like it. And in the last episode, I also teased what was going to happen this episode, and I don't think anyone got it, so let me spill the beans here. First up, we are going to be making a system that gives the player weapons when a wave ends. I thought that was pretty clear, but I am on a higher level of understanding. I've got more IQ than 3 Einsteins put together multiplied by 6.5. And then next up we have a new weapon, which is the mine, as you can tell by the plan here. And the mine is very easy. We will cover that first because it's not very confusing and also much more funny than the wave system thing. And obviously we fixed a ton of issues with the system. When I first implemented it, there were just bugs on bugs on bugs. It was like a hydra. Every time I fixed one bug, 7 more popped up. But eventually I did fix all the bugs. We got all the issues. For now, obviously there's probably going to be a mountain of bugs that I haven't even discovered yet that we will discover later on in the series that we will have to fix, and it will not be very fun. Anyway, the tools, as per usual with all these videos, we gotta cover what we're using. And sadly, we don't have ChatGPT here. We had to use Copilot, and let me tell you, I couldn't recommend it any less. ChatGPT was down, but Copilot is slightly better than nothing, so I kinda had to use it. I gotta say, if you're using Copilot, you should really consider switching to ChatGPT. Copilot is just not there. It's just awful. I couldn't recommend it less. I'm at a loss for words for how disgustingly terrible it is. Even if you give it super specific instructions, like how to code a guy moving, it will still underperform and give you the wrong answers, and it will sometimes even just leave out certain logic that you requested was added. I don't really know what's going on there, but, maybe I got unlucky, but regardless, we gotta move on to a good tool on this list, and that is GIMP, baby. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, GIMP, we're back. It's just the best. If you're using Photoshop, just stop. Save yourself the $11,000 a month, just get GIMP, alright? It's free, it's fabulous, it's freaking amazing, and I couldn't recommend it anymore. Next up, we've got creativity. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big fan of creativity and pushing people to step out of their comfort zone and make a cool little game. Even if you only change the life or even just change a day of one person, as long as you're making a positive impact, that's all that matters. And next up, good music. I mean, you guys already know, my name is basically synonymous with good music. So if you guys want to code to some block rock and beats, let me know. And then finally, Unity. Specifically Unity version 2021.1.0 F1. That's the best version there is because I said so, and it's also the version that ChatGPT is compatible with. Couldn't recommend it anymore. Yeah. And now let's start off with the actual content of the video. So like I said in the introduction, we're going to be starting off with the mine because it's just a lot easier to understand, and it went a whole lot smoother. There was a few bugs, but again, that's because I was using Copilot, so I mean, it was basically inevitable. But basically what happens is every time cooldown hits 0, I believe the cooldown is 4 seconds, and when it hits 0, a mine will spawn on the player's position. The mine cannot interact with the player, but as soon as the enemy steps across it, then the mine will explode, dealing damage to the enemy and playing a sound effect, which you guys will see right here. Alrighty, and now that you guys got your cool little memes out of the way, let's get into the much harder part of today, the wave system, adding weapons to the player after a wave. Let me tell you, this was torturous. It was absolutely awful to implement. I spent so long going back and forth on various issues. It was just terrible. I didn't record a lot of my progress because I was actually going insane. I was slamming my desk. I was throwing my water bottle around. I was screaming, kicking and screaming. My face was red. Smoke was coming out of my ears. It was awful, terrible. But we got it to work. And I'll probably show some footage somewhere on the screen here. I don't really know where, but I'm gonna try and break down what's going on as I show the footage. And basically, when I say it out loud, it's not that hard, but when you're using Copilot and coding, it's a lot different, trust me. But essentially what happens is after the wave ends, the wave manager triggers a function which instantiates a pop-up. This has been a staple in the project for quite a while, so adding this part wasn't that hard. But essentially there are 3 positions on this pop-up, and it instantiates a card in each position. but the script makes sure that whenever it adds a card, it takes that card out of the pool of available cards, and essentially what that does is it prevents us from getting duplicate cards. So if the card pool is card A, B, C, and D, if we instantiate card B in position A, card B is removed from the pool, so the next two cards can only be card A, C, or D, if that makes sense. And that works just fine. And then the other issue was actually removing the cards, because I forgot to do that, because when the cards are instantiated, they are a child of this pop-up. And when the pop-up is disabled, you can't actually interact with anything on the pop-up because it's disabled. Either that or Copilot just screwed up. So essentially, after 2 waves, you would have this mass of just black pictures, and it was very hard to see what you were picking, and far more often than not, you accidentally clicked on something that you didn't want, and it was just awful, right? We had to remove it as quickly as possible, and essentially what we did for removing the cards is we tagged all of the cards with a card tag, and then when we click one of the cards, it triggers a method inside of the Wave Manager saying, hey, a card has been clicked, the player picked an item, kill us now. And so the script is like, yes, I will happily kill you all now, and it removes every single card-tagged object in the scene. And now the interesting thing is that when you click a card, obviously you get the item, but how does that really work? And to peel back the curtain here, and there's probably much better ways of doing this, but this is the way that I thought was good, is basically the player has all of the weapons on them already. So they have the crossbow, the metal pipe, the fart, the bruh ball, everything. It's just that all the scripts are disabled. So when you click on a card, it triggers a method inside of those scripts, so we'll use crossbow for example. If you click on the crossbow card, then it triggers a method inside of the crossbow script and says, hey, you've been activated, turn on, and the crossbow turns itself on, and then the player has the crossbow. And that's it. Again, there's probably a whole lot better ways of doing it, it's just I haven't really found it, and quite frankly, I don't want to go back to this system again, not for a while. I am so drained from going back and forth for hours on end, figuring out all those issues. Oh man. But anyway, next episode will hopefully be a lot better and feature a lot less bugs, and hopefully a lot more interesting things, and as of recently, I will now leave a bunch of symbols in the bottom right corner of the plan, and I want you guys to figure it out. Leave your guesses in the comments, let everyone know what your guess is, and in the next episode, you will see if you're right. If you're right, I will, I will bless you with good luck for the next 5 hours. If you get it right, though. If you get it wrong, then you then you have to subscribe. Yeah, anyway, with my shilling out of the way, make sure you guys stay tuned for the weekend, because I will be posting some videos about my new card game, Chaos Cards, the playable shitpost where nothing is balanced and everything beats everything. Anyway, that'll wrap it up for this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the weekend and on Monday when we come back with our super new episode. There's going to be some cool stuff planned, and again, if you guys have a guess on what next episode is going to be, leave them in the comments.